Testing. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Just another drink, she said. Well, I'm the crying type, he wept. You're the perfect one for me. Both agree on that, it's easy. So run away with me, he said. Well, I'm the leaving type, she left.
Attention. Would you like to reorder, rate, or rate? Would you like pizza?
Space can be loaded. What now? You have to give us a count in.
User on.
Greetings, Commanders, and welcome to episode 314 of Lave Radio, the show that likes to talk about the universe of Elite and the fantastic community that surrounds it. I'm your host, Commander Phoenix Defire, Chief Archivist of Lave Station, otherwise known as Colin Ford, and joining me in the Orange Sidewinder bar for this episode, we have our Inhuman Resources Director, Commander Shan.
Hello.
We have our Head of Health and Safety, Cmdr Eid LeWeise.
Hello, I'm doing CG things tonight, aren't I?
Yes, you are. We also have, as a contributor, our inflatable pipe cleaner. That's Mac Wangston.
Hello.
And
Oh,
Matt, you can clean my
Winston.
pipes anytime, lovey.
Indeed.
And helping us, and we'd like to welcome Chris Mark IV as our new tech gibbon for this evening,
Hello.
who is under the watchful eye of good old Commander Ventura. So, if you wish, you can join us live. Ben, are you flying around the CG tonight?
I'm doing the tradie CG at the moment, yes.
So, if anybody would like to try and claim a bounty on Ben, feel free and let us know. Just paint a target on your back there. But if you can't get to us in game, you can also join the Twitch chat channel, which you can access through laveradio.com/live and click on the live chat, or go straight to twitch.tv/laveradio, or we're running on YouTube and we're running on Facebook tonight. So, we'll quickly run around the crew, see how they've been for the last week or so. So, Commander Shan, how have you been this week?
Well, playing Elite, I've done very little really at all because it's all go in the Shan household. Let me see. The youngest Mini Shan, he has been offered a chance to go and do P Company as part of his time in the army. And for people who's not aware, P Company is a prelude to Special Forces. So he's been offered the chance to do that in the new year. Eldest Mini Shan.
That's the not so special forces then, I guess.
It's a prerequisite for doing stuff like paras and stuff like that. Anyway, so eldest Mini Shan is the RAF recruitment side is kicked up again, so he's getting ready to embark on officer training. And so sort of together we're becoming one of Britain's deadliest families because youngest Mini Shan can get them on land. Well, no, this is how it works, you see, because youngest Mini Shan can get them on the ground, eldest Mini Shan can blow them out of the sky, I can talk them to death, and Mr. Shan's cooking can deliver the coup de grace. So, it's done.
So it's so nice to know that your children are trained killers.
Yes, it fills me with pride. It does.
Ben, what have you been up to this week then?
I've been doing the CG as I've been mentioning already, but I've actually gone off and taken a bit of a blast to the past, and I've been playing Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. So that's proven a lot of fun. I do think San Andreas is probably the best GTA, especially of that series. The whole GTA, San Andreas, Vice City, and things like that, and GTA 3, obviously. San Andreas had a lot of very, very special things in it, and I'm just loving playing through that storyline again. Apart from that, I've been locked up in my bedroom, and not in a good way, unfortunately.
Have you been self-isolating? Have you? Or?
Well, I'm just basically avoiding contact with everybody because you all smell.
Or
And-
rather, you've been told to avoid contact with everybody.
Well, I've not been told, but I just, Birmingham's on stage 3 lockdown, Rotherham's on stage 3 lockdown. I'm just wrapping myself up in a bubble and stay the fuck away from me.
Yeah, that's pretty much how things are up north as well. So,
Yeah.
handing over to Mac, who's in a COVID safe zone, I believe it is.
Yes, but I'm also in quarantine too because we went to England.
You went to
What do you
England.
want to do that for?
Well, we had to do some maintenance. We had to do a inspection on a plane, so we had to take it to England, spend a week there, spend a week basically getting oily and fiddling with aeroplanes, and then we came back. At which point, we have to self-isolate for 2 weeks, and I'm in my second week of that, and I'll be let out on Saturday afternoon, I believe, or is it Sunday afternoon? One or the other. So yeah. Other than that, I've been flying a Sidewinder, and I have been delivering slow, painful, and incredibly humiliating deaths to my NPC adversaries. The East India Company is currently in 4 simultaneous wars, so we're being extremely busy. And I've been trying desperately to win a low CZ in a Sidewinder. It hasn't quite happened yet. The trouble is, it takes so long to kill anything in a Sidewinder. But with the engineered thrusters, the enhanced thrusters, you are so fast maneuverable. Hardly anything can actually turn around and shoot at you. So you can just sit on the tail of whatever it is you're shooting at, and you sit there listening to warning, taking heat damage as you pound it with your rail guns. And you deliver them a very slow and very painful and very humiliating death. Yeah. Anyway, this is all research for Sagittarius Eye, by the way. There is a good reason why I have engineered a Sidewinder. And actually, it shows the stark difference. The stock Sidewinder is terrible. I got ganked in it twice in Desiat. The first bit of engineering I did was I went to Desiat to get the enhanced thrusters because they're sold by, and she was Farsi was the nearest to me, and she sells the enhanced thrusters. So I got ganked once on my way in, and I got ganked once actually at Farsi's. Anyway, when I came back a second time because I just needed 1 level of engineering on my power plant, which also they do at Farsi. So I just need level 1. What is it?
Enhancement, yeah.
Yeah, the one that gives you more power, basically. I was actually interdicted by the notorious Commander Neotantrix, who basically now could no longer actually keep up with me because I was rapidly receding into the distance. And the Sidewinder being well, the other thing I do is I pop off a heatsink, which makes you disappear off radar then when you go cold. So they have to acquire a tiny ship visually that is receding extremely quickly. And I think he might have hit me with a single shot, and it wasn't enough to even take a ring of shields off. So before I was out of range, so he was anyway. That shows the difference between an unengineered, just a stock Sidewinder, and one which you've now got grade 5 dirty drives on the enhanced thrusters. It will do about, I think, 700. It's not the fastest ship, but it's up there.
Pretty close.
725, I think it does.
But it will outrun most ganker vessels, won't it?
Yes. Yeah.
So is that what you've been doing in your isolation?
Yes. I've also been flying my crate because we need to seriously win some of these conflict zones. So when I need to actually go out and win one, I join one of our wings and we go in and we just. It's amazing how quick we can clear out a high CZ when we're in a wing of 4 and we've all got our sort of horribly beweaponed ship. Most of the others are flying Imperial corvettes, but I prefer to fly crate.
As part of your, sorry, just talking about the isolation thing. So, have you been getting your baseball mitt and throwing the ball against him, like catching it, and then
what's his name, the Great Escape? No.
Yeah, and then you'll escape on a motorbike and completely fail to jump a fence.
and a motorcycle that turns from one model into another. My dad told me what it changes into, but I can't remember now. But apparently, the motorcycle changes make and model mid-flight.
Well, trust someone from the Isle of Man to know about motorbikes.
But other than that, I've also been fiddling with my radio antennas as well while in Iceland. Oh, and I got a new game. I got Derail Valley, which is a train game, a virtual reality train game, which is kind of the catastrophic failure of train games because it models the crashes. I haven't crashed yet, but looking at the trailers, it models them very well, which forced me to get the Oculus Touch controllers, which I never had because the only game I really play in VR is Elite and very occasionally X-Plane. So yeah, I finally broke down and got the Touch controllers to play Derail Valley, which once you get the hang of the controls, it's actually pretty good. It's quite natural, but it took a while of phasing through stuff and dropping stuff, and because you can pick up objects and drop them, sort of unintentionally dropping stuff and unintentionally pressing the wrong thing before I got the hang of it. But it's quite good once you get the hang of it.
Right. Well, let's have a quick look at what I've been up to. I'm put Power Play on the back burner because I'm now at 97% deadly. And I just need, so let's see, 32, 48 Thargoid Scouts to get Triple Elite. So I'm almost there. But what I'm
do that in an hour.
Yeah, I know. What I am thinking of doing is actually getting to 99 and then remodeling my Crate Mark II just to try and solo as many Thargoid Interceptors as possible and see, because I'd like to get Triple Elite while taking out a Thargoid Interceptor. I think that's going to be the best way to do it.
I think you should do your remaining kills in Iron Man mode.
No. No, and no again. It's just because I know exactly what will happen. Was is that all of a sudden I'll get hunted down by, I don't know, a certain shenanigans commander, won't I? So
No, because you can use my carrier for safety.
Oh, of course, for safety. Is that what you call it? It's sort of the. This is a safety stab in the back. Yes, I'm quite sure.
In friendship.
It's friendship stab in the back.
Yes,
yeah,
it's called the Michael Gove.
It's called the Michael Gove. Is that what you're gonna? Is that what you call your carrier, the Michael Gove? Sorry, British politics, gentlemen.
Talking about Michael Gove, have you guys been watching Spitting Image?
Yes.
I absolutely creased myself at Govey in Paris, that sketch that they did.
I like the Greta Thunberg. I like the Greta Thunberg.
Hot!
Right. Well, now that we've all caught up with the crew, let's find out what's been happening with the development news this week. Well, the most important thing to mention at this present time is welcome to Free Horizons Day. Today, we'd like to welcome the 2 million-ish or so commanders who now have access to Horizons that they never had before. So far, the Buckyball Racing Club has already asked who wants an SRV race, and they've re-released the Horizons trailer just to show the additional things that are available. So, if you had already bought Horizons at this point, you get these wonderful Azure paint jobs on every single ship, which probably would cost the equivalent of how much Horizons was at.
I'd imagine they'd be, 2,000 arcs each or something like that.
Yep.
Maybe, how much is it for solid color ones?
It's
arcs and something, aren't they?
Yeah, they're about 1,500, aren't they? It's not actually solid color. It's kind of got a nice sheen to it as well. But you are 38 ships plus 3 fighters.
Yeah.
So that's
Multiply
the
that.
equivalent.
God.
There's more than 3 fighters, 6 fighters.
Yeah, but
multipliers.
you don't get color schemes for the 3 Guardian fighters.
Have it. No.
See, I count the engines and lasers for those. But anyway,
Anyway.
Oh, I'm getting Xbox alerts from my son, who's really kicking it out in squadrons. I do apologize. Right.
whoever he shoots down, Colin is really sorry for the actions of his son.
No, I'm not. I'm proud. I'm proud of him. At the moment he's got a higher
How old is
rate.
he?
He's 13 and he's got a higher rated X-Wing pilot than me. I've got to really get into it again.
All right. So basically, when he starts raging and swearing loudly, you'll be proud of him, saying just like Dad.
What do you mean starts? He's started.
Oh, so was it like Kevin in Harry Enfield?
I will not say a word because.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes.
I don't know about you, Colin, but I also have a 13-year-old son, and I swear he turned into a teenager at least 2 years ago.
So, what did everybody think of Free Horizons Day? We had updates on the system was down for a little while as updates came in, but seems to be pretty seamless. I have
there was a glitch there, wasn't there?
Oh, was that about the fleet carriers?
No, about the Horizons.
Frontier accidentally gave it away a couple of weeks ago early while they were testing it, if that's what you mean.
Yeah, they gave it away for someone noticed that they could actually get to Horizons for about an hour, didn't they? But at the moment, I do think there is a reports that there is something wrong with fleet carriers, but not every fleet carrier. And Frontier are aware of the issue and are looking into it. So, not a complete and utter bug-free release, as always seems to be the way, but it seems to be pretty stable for the hour and a half I've played already today. So,
yeah, Colin, I think we need to test this fleet carrier bug. So if you and Ben dock my carrier, we can test it.
I'm sorry, Shan, I'm nowhere near you.
I'm going nowhere near the Venus flytrap.
Well, the nice thing about fleet carriers is they can move, Ben. So if you tell us the system.
This is where I'm glad that Chris is actually unable to find my stream today, isn't it?
Oh, according to Kaizen, Frontier fixed the fleet carrier issue at 1 p.m.
Yeah.
So that's already, it should be plain sailing from now on.
It's just that Shan's basically trying to lure us into his fleet carriers.
I told you I am nice. I'm one of the nicest players in the galaxy and the most helpful. And you lot just keep piling it on from last week.
Mm-hmm.
And
says Commander Scorpio there.
And yeah. Fool me once, Shan. That's all I'm saying. Fool me 10 times. It's like, yeah, not quite sure about this now.
So, meanwhile, just dragging everybody back to the Free Horizons. As anybody, I take it everybody else here is quite happy with it, even though I think we're all the ones that this doesn't apply to.
I think it's completely needed, to be honest.
Mm.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know about... Frontier have the numbers, I don't. I suspect anybody who was going to buy Horizons has already bought Horizons.
Mm-hmm.
So they're not exactly going to be losing a lot by giving it away. And it means that basically everyone's on the same starting block for Odyssey when it comes out. It makes so much sense, and it's what I've been saying Frontier should be doing for their rolling season of updates.
Yeah, I think we called it earlier. I'm sure we've discussed it before, and we said they've got to roll it in because otherwise it's becoming it's going to become an unmaintainable something. So yeah, we called it here.
Yeah, you have to, because to think about it, if you didn't buy Horizons but brought Odyssey, you would it'd be a bit weird, wouldn't it?
How could you land on the planets without the planetary landing suite?
Exactly.
So, yeah.
Would be
One thing I did notice is that they have still actually kept the separate instance of Elite Dangerous itself, so that if you need to, if you get stuck on the planet, you can load the old version of Elite Dangerous and thus be back up in orbit.
I'm pleased about that because it was very useful sometimes to be able to jump in orbit without having to destroy your SRV because you got yourself stuck somewhere.
There is a service called the Kingfishers, by the way, and had that gone away, it would have actually given them I mean, they exist because it's fun, presumably, but it would give them an actual practical reason to exist. Had that option go away, it might still go away with, of course, with when Odyssey actually finally drops.
Mm-hmm.
And also, I'd be curious to see what the planet rendering is if you load non-Horizons now. Is it because if certainly in the past, if you loaded non-Horizons, the planets would be the old 1.0 style, the landable planets, which you can't land on if you're not in Horizons, would be the old 1.0 style textures rather than the sort of generated planetary surfaces. So it'll be interesting to see if that's changed.
I thought they now used the same textures on all models, on all versions of the game, to be honest.
They might do now, but they certainly didn't. I mean, certainly when I've used
this morning they weren't. This morning everything was the same. Everything was different. So, because a big part of Horizon's difference is it's a different rendering engine, and it uses complete shaders and things like that. Which is why so.
Which is why the Mac version didn't work.
And that's why the Mac version didn't work. Yeah. So I feel there is definitely a market for. I'm playing this on my piece of shit computer, and I really can't play Horizons, but I can get out and fly around. So just give me the base thing with all the 2013 graphics, and I'll accept it. I hope they have kept that, though. I haven't tested it, so I could actually go and test that if you want, Mac.
Yes, that would be interesting to see.
Okay, I will go and do that then. And I've got the lovely Azure paint job as well now as well.
Yes.
As well? Yes, that doesn't make any sense, does it?
No comment. I'm not one to criticize someone else's mangling of the English language. Right. In other news, well, obviously today's stream did not happen because they used the excuse that basically they were very busy rolling in Horizons. However, I have a sneaking suspicion that it's mostly because on Thursday, Stephen and Bruce went and did some CQC, and a certain Commander Phoenix Defier kicked Stephen's bookie so bad that he's suffering from severe shame. So
it's a bit like my Sidewinder delivering humiliating defeats to NPCs.
Something along that line, yes.
See, I think we need to get Stephen on here again for some real trash talking between you and him, Colin.
Well, I don't know. I think Stephen should actually rename his commander Barn Door, because he certainly can't hit it.
Oh, listen at it.
Okay, I think that the gauntlet has now been thrown down to Stephen. I must admit, I did enjoy the stream on Thursday, but I think there was, I don't think Stephen and Bruce did.
Are you just pleased because you actually managed to shoot something?
Well, first of all, I'm pleased I actually managed to get into a CQC match, and it went straight away, which was great. Anyway.
So you think that? So I just want to pick up on what you said, Colin. It's not an excuse. Frontier don't do excuses; they give reasons.
Oh, they give reasons. Oh, I do apologize. Right. just looking through some of the text that we're getting at the moment. Next up, the Halloween stuff is now in store. We have a whole list of bobbleheads and new cockpit lights, which all seem to have a Halloween theme to them. What do you guys think of this?
They're okay if that's your sort of thing. I do remember buying the Halloween set a few years ago because I used the rip and tear decal, and you have that in like a red, and if you put that on your shipborne's fighter, it kind of looks like a glowy claw mark, which is quite cool. Some of the other ones I thought were quite tacky. I mean, like the witch's head, and I don't know, it's not my thing, but I like the rip and tear one because that looks quite cool.
I must admit,
I like
do
the fact that those ones
skulls.
load as well.
Go on, Ben.
Sorry, I was going to say go on, Colin, but okay. I like the fact that some of them are emissive textures, so I think the Rip one glows orange, doesn't it, Shan?
It does, yeah. So
Yeah.
it's very cool on a fighter.
I could put it on my Imperial Courier.
Oh no, that's like sticking a raspberry on an iPhone or an Apple. That's just like,
What, in your fruit-based media device?
yeah, I don't know. It's just kind of, yeah. I think Imperial ships should be simple and elegant and things like that. I don't think they should be tackified.
Well, mine currently, you would probably approve of mine right now because it currently has the, what is it, the Black Friday paint job, which is absolutely midnight black and matte. It's very nice on a Courier. But it also has the onion head decals.
Mm-hmm.
You had me thinking, oh, that's quite cool, up until you started the onion head thing.
But it is our product.
Yeah. Well, just to let people in the chat room know, because we're going out on Twitch as well, this is actually a recording from the podcast for the Lave Radio podcast. Just to let you know, we probably don't. We only pick up questions once in a while because we've got our own show notes. But you're quite welcome to listen, and we do take feedback and insults, mostly insults.
Especially Ben. Ben really likes insults. If you can insult Ben as much as possible, you'll make him really happy.
Yeah, I know. It's his part of his personality matrix. It's personality matrix. Where did I come that from?
I don't know, but I thought I was going.
He's made by Sirius Cybernetics with a genuine people personality.
Oh dear.
They put the horny circuit instead of the depressed one.
As opposed to working. Oh god. What was it? Human cyborg relations or something?
The Sirius Cybernetics marketing department, who were the first against the war when the revolution came. Yeah.
And whose motto was "Go stick your head in a pig."
So
David Cameron.
Conservative parties.
David Cameron, wasn't it?
Dear. So the Hitchhiker's Guide is coming out left, right, and centre now, and for which we do not apologise in any way whatsoever.
Apart from the film, we apologise greatly for the Hitchhiker's film.
No, I actually enjoyed that film. I really did enjoy that film because I thought that the especially going to the planet of Golga Frincham was quite funny.
Yeah, it needs to be the original radio version. Well, actually, the BBC series wasn't too bad.
Well,
Yeah,
what was that, Ben? You went quiet.
sorry, I agree with the BBC series one. That was good.
Right. Well, then this is an interesting little piece of news, and I hope you've all got your tinfoil hats for this. But they announced that there was going to be a rather large downtime on Thursday. 5 hours. Normally, the downtime on a Thursday, which handles most of the ticks and things like that normally just takes about half an hour, maybe an hour at the most. but they've put in a 5-hour downtime. Now, obviously, this is going to be a little bit more than just your average server maintenance window.
Long lunch break.
Yeah.
Christmas dinner. It's a Christmas meal. It's Frontier Christmas meal. And they don't want anyone around, so they'll take the server down so they can go out or have their takeaway turkey and Christmas dinner, and then they'll take it back up again.
Okay, that's a
Are
good.
they allowed to go on a Christmas dinner, takeaway turkey, things like that?
What, in
I thought
October?
they're still having, well, that as well. But I thought they're also still mostly working from home.
Yeah,
Yeah, but it doesn't mean to say they can't take a 4-hour lunch break, does it?
probably waiting on the community to send them pizza again.
Oh, we got banned from doing that, didn't we? They did ask us to
Well,
what pizza.
we got requested not to.
Yes. Mostly, I think everybody was worried about the weight they were gaining.
Oh, bless.
Yeah. But yeah, it is quite a long time for maybe they're preloading some Odyssey assets.
That'd be nice.
That would be very stupid.
Well,
Or maybe they're uploading the Thargoid Hive ship. Imagine that suddenly appearing in game.
That would be fun.
They're
Yeah.
certainly doing something to the database if it's going to be down that long, and something that needs to touch an awful lot of records in the database.
Oh no, more arcs.
Yeah.
I had the thought about the Thargoid Hive ship. Imagine if the Thargoid Hive ship could actually destroy fleet carriers. So one turns up in a system, and everybody with a fleet carrier has got 12 hours to move their carrier. Otherwise, it's destroyed. I just thought, oh, the salt.
or would that be like the Shadow Planet Killer in
Yeah.
Babylon 5?
I think that would be great.
See, I mean, I know people are getting excited about the content they're adding, but as Matt said, it could be just something to do with the database. Let's say, for example, they are having to adjust the database to add in his first footfall field or something like that to the exploration database.
True.
Because that is huge. So if they're adding fields and generally optimizing it, getting ready, then it could be something as mundane as that.
Yeah, that's quite true, especially when you've got huge data sets and all of a sudden you make one change to that huge data set. It'll take the database quite a while to recover, won't it? Thinking about all those car plant databases, we have to make changes.
I've gone off and done that Horizons test, and it is definitely using different planetary tech between Horizons and the old ED Classic one. I'll paste the links into Twitch, and I've posted them on our thing as well. But it's very obvious that the planet nearest the station it's like a white planet with pinky valleys, whereas in Classic Elite Dangerous, it's just a blue ice ball.
Oh, well, that's good to know. That is good to know.
I'm happy about this.
That is one. And someone actually asked me the other day, and I couldn't actually answer them this question, and perhaps you guys could clarify it for me. As far as when Odyssey comes along, and we land on basically an Horizons planet, we still will be able to walk around in the spacesuits on the old Horizons planets, will we?
Yes, I believe you will.
Yeah, because I was under the impression the same, but then I just couldn't recall exactly when they said, "Oh yeah, you'll be able to walk around the existing planets."
Yes, I mean, there's no. Yeah, of course. Yeah, anything we can walk around at the moment, we can walk around in Horizons and in Odyssey.
Right. Well, that clarifies my confusion. And Space Raccoon, we're not having Teletubby costumes in Odyssey. Thank you. Right.
Oh, have you guys been playing any Among Us?
Yeah, you on about the fact that you saw the Teletubby get out and it looks like the Among Us.
So
That was
you
very
basically
disturbing.
chop a Teletubby in half, and that is your character in Among Us, including the lack of arms.
Oh, scary. Anyway, this isn't
And I
the
think Shan
only.
would be amazing in Among Us.
Well, everyone would just assume that Shan's the imposter anyway, and he'd be first out
That's what he
every
stands
single time.
You're being
No,
mean to me
Shan's
again.
opportunity to prove he's a nice guy. He could be a nice imposter and help us with our tasks, and hold the vent open for us and things like that.
I'll hold the vent open for you, Ben.
Exactly.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
vent into space.
Shush, Colin.
Well, this isn't the only thing that's been happening with the Elite Dangerous. The Instagram account has been getting cryptic messages. For those of you who have been following this, we have a whole load of ones and zeros which has come out. There's been 5 messages so far. It looks like there should be a 6th. And
we'd assume so, but there hasn't been one yet.
yeah,
It's
we
usually
and we're assuming that because there's numbers that are cut in half on one of the other ones. And people have managed to decode it to say Stones, he keeps watching the Stones. Is this correct?
That's the current thinking, yes.
Incidentally, a hint that if you see a bunch of binary or even hexadecimal, a hint that it's ASCII text is to look if the most significant bit is 0, because ASCII text, the most significant bit's always 0. So if you see a whole string of numbers where the MSB is 0, you can be pretty sure without even decoding it, you're looking at ASCII text. So you can start right there.
Yeah. Well, it's taken it's taken Reddit by storm, which we've put a link into, and basically, obviously, in Instagram, it's taken up, and the forums. So everybody's swapping ideas left, right, and centre about what this is. We have possible links to Lord 26. There's a Galnet post on the 25th of February, 3301 in Lord 26 about a dead Sidewinder belonging to Commander Hank Stone. Then there's also the generation ship Thetis, which is there, which I do believe is one of the scary ones.
That's probably the scariest thing. I think Chris Mark IV might have that video if you want to take a couple of minute break and play that, or we might not. I don't know.
Tell you the truth, we'll come back to that in a bit. I just want to get the in-game events out of the way, and then we'll come back to this to the generation ship. So, yeah, the in-game events of what's been happening in Elite Dangerous. Well, we've completed the Thargoid CG. All the systems were saved, and everybody's got their reward and their Guardian booster jump drive, which is quite good. And then the Marlinist refugee situation has blown up. It's escalated rather. There are now 2 federal CGs, a trade and a bounty hunting ones, which are to do with the Marlinist plot lines. And the Marlinist terrorists have just wounded Hadrian Duval. Now, Hadrian Duval is the illegitimate grandson of the original emperor. And an assassination attempt, and the Marlinist terrorists have said they intend to wipe out the Hydra that is the Duval family. So, yet again, these Marlinist terrorists seem to be the driving force behind most of the events which are happening in Elite Dangerous at the moment. And yeah.
So, are they like the Lannisters then?
This is to my embarrassment. I've never watched Game of Thrones, so I don't have the reference.
Shame.
I've never watched it either.
Shame.
Shame.
I think Colin and I are the 2 people in the whole world who have not watched Game of Thrones.
So if you've never seen it, you must have helped write the ending then.
Ooh.
Well, maybe the ending would have been better if George R.R. Martin had decided to actually finish writing that last book instead of just.
Yeah, I think he sabotaged it because if the ending was going to be the same as his books, no one would buy his books. So he deliberately messed the ending up so people would buy his books to find out what really happened.
At the risk of turning into the Game of Thrones podcast,
Mm.
I think if they'd spent probably 2 seasons getting to the end point, we'd have been all right. It was just suddenly, hey, I'm lovely and I fart butterflies, Danny, to you're gonna all fucking die, you bitches.
Oh,
You know,
okay,
it's
Ben.
like-
Actually,
Okay.
I have a segue from Game of Thrones back to Elite, if this will help.
Okay, this will be interesting. Commander
The-
Ventura also says he's never watched it.
The thing that Game of Thrones and Elite has in common
Mhm.
is that in both the key battles occur in pitch darkness.
I thought you were going to say that there's one member of the cast that's incredibly cute and all the men want to follow her.
You talking about Ben again?
I never knew you felt that way, Shan.
Well, we all know she wears a blue wig anyway. So
Could be worse. It could be Etienne Dawn.
Oh, back to that again. Please let us move on.
No, we haven't got a sovereign today to enjoy us saying Etienne Dorm as much as he does. So I think we should move on.
Yes.
The thing is, with the Marlinists, going back to the Marlinists, they ought to bump off another one so we can have another Lake Coniston-sized lake of Lavian brandy. Because the last one was rather superb, I thought.
Yeah.
I'm
So it was
waiting for the hangover to kick in.
Well, I think Senator Petraeus must have been basically still under the influence when he ordered the martial law to go in, because it's basically taking a massive sledgehammer to crack a tiny nut, isn't it?
This is probably, you're probably right there. It's probably because his brain was hurting so much. He was like, screw it, let's murder them all.
I know. I've got a great idea.
Yeah, we can't say there isn't exactly precedent though for using sledgehammers to brang nuts.
No.
Yeah, he is famously heavy-handed. I mean, what was that last one? The system that owed him a debt, so he basically stomped all over them with his big size 12 boots. What system was that? I don't
Wasn't
remember
that-
now, but
wasn't
it was
that
early
the
on.
one-
You're not talking about
I've-
Lou, are you?
No. It was. I think it was before Lou. It was basically. It was basically Senator Petraeus stomps all over this system because they owe him some money and he's got tired, and so he's going to take control and turn the entire population into slaves or something.
Didn't he do something similar with the PRISM system? Because I remember a certain Drew Wagar getting quite annoyed when power play was put in, and all of a sudden the PRISM system was put under the control of Petraeus for some reason. And he was a little bit put out by that. I think it was even touched on in the Premonition novel. Anyway. Chris Mark IV, if you could be so kind to actually play the Generation Ship Thetis piece of footage that we've got.
Did you just say fetus?
No,
You did. You did.
Still all quiet out here in the black. Just had our very first 9th gen child born on ship. That takes the current population to 17,401. Other than that, nothing out of the ordinary. Apart from reports from some residents at the northern end of C deck. They've heard some kind of strange whispering sound coming from their apartment comms unit. I'm sure it's nothing, but I've dispatched a member of tech to investigate. We have an emergency situation on board. Some kind of epidemic. It's driving people insane. I've managed to source it to a digital signal that keeps broadcasting within the comms array. It started on C deck, but now the entire population of Deck C to F have been massacred. They just went crazy and started killing each other. I've isolated the signal, so it's stopped for now. Just trying to identify the source. It should be easy enough to delete the beacon if I can find the right frequency. I want to know what the message says, but I'm just too scared to listen. I've done it. I've managed to decrypt the signal and identify the source. But it's even more confusing than I thought. The signal originates from an uninhabited planet we passed 15 light years ago. Who sent it and how it managed to infect the comms array, I have no idea. That's the good news. The bad news is I heard the message. I was trying to run it through the translator and I forgot the speaker was on. It's the same message relayed again and again and again. It's more a whisper than anything else. It says, kill them all. Blood. Blood everywhere. It's spread on the walls. People have started writing words in it, but it's a script I can't identify. I'm alone now on the comms deck. Pearson was the last one with me, but I had to stab him in the throat to stop him. Stop him. I can't remember what I had to stop him doing, but he's dead now. I can hear people out there. Some of them are still walking around. Some of them are barely breathing. I have to find them. I have to silence them. I have to...
I love those videos. They're so good. The audio, as ever, Frontier has done such a good job with that.
Yeah. You know what impresses me is the fact that, you know, all the voice acting for a lot of the stuff is just done by two people.
Do we know that? I mean, I know we had that voice actor, dev diary thing, which was awesome, fun, a lot of fun.
Yeah. I mean,
but do we know that they're the only two people?
well, when we were at the Frontier Expo, there was just those two guys. The one, well, not guys, obviously, but
one girl, one guy. But yeah,
yep, yeah, and who said that they did all the voice work. Obviously, the Kovas are different people,
Yeah.
but no, I was under the impression that that nearly all the voice work that we've got so far have been done by these two artists, and you know, it's so impressive that they've got such range.
Voice actors, who'd have thunk it?
Yeah, very impressed. Well, moving on from there for the moment. Well, obviously, newsletter 304 came out.
Before unless you're in the rush to dive on,
Okay.
I want to actually go back and revisit these old voice acting things and the whole megaships.
Right.
And it's just they are so good. They are such an investment in assets and in terms of assets and development time.
Mm-hmm.
Yet for what is essentially a sightseeing tour.
It is, yeah. I mean,
And
oh, go on, Ben. Carry on.
And I wonder what things can be done to tie them in to gameplay more. Whether it's actual gameplay a bit like what we've got at some of the instances where, let's say you go to one of these sites and it's, hey, please help defend us from these jerks who are trying to, force us to go and live on a planet instead of on a space station. Or because obviously these are all basically national heritage sites, aren't they?
Well,
we're not meant to touch them and things.
So far, we've only found one where there are still living
Anyone's
people
alive.
in it,
Yeah, that.
and that turned into a whole interstellar initiative. So far, apart from that, all the others they're dead, aren't they?
They're dead, Jim.
They're
Yeah,
dead or
but-
basically abandoned.
Yeah, but that could still be turned into gameplay things. And
Yeah.
I just wish we had I wish we had a better excuse to go and visit them for more than just I've seen the sightseeing thing, I've gotten scared, and now I'm going away again.
Yeah, I see what you mean. I mean, one of the things I've been doing for Top Shift is I've been going around all the scenarios and trying to log and see what they trigger. And I must admit, one of the most difficult ones to do is, the raids that happen around some of the installations.
Yeah.
And they could put one of those raids into the around one of these generation ships, where you've got I don't know, let's just say the National Trust, if you like, who are there to preserve the site.
The National
coming
Trust
under
wants
attack
to defend this thing in the name of freedom or something.
or in the name of posterity and for historical record, while the others just want to do an Indiana Jones and raid it.
And you know what would be awesome actually about it would be the National Trust should also fine you if you shoot their ship. You should get absolute bollocked by the National Trust if you go off and cause damage to their structure.
Surely this should be the Intergalactic Trust.
Oh yeah.
The Galactic Trust, because we're not intergalactic yet, are we? No.
Yeah, the Galactic Trust.
The Galactic Trust. Anyway.
Yeah, I just think it's such a shame, and I wish we could do more with them.
Yeah, I must admit, with a lot of the stuff that that's been put in, like the INRA bases and the Far God cult, and all that kind of stuff, it suffers from the same.
Jameson's Cobra Mark III.
Yeah. All of it suffers from the fact of it's great when you get out there and you discover it for the first time, but there's no reuse, if you see what I mean. And I think that's a bit of a shame. I'm not putting them down, because some of the stuff that they've done for it has been really good and really atmospheric. It's just like you said, you just wish that there was, I don't know, some way for it
better
to drag you back. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, are we moving on to the newsletter now?
Well, Eki is suggesting we should have pubs in the megaships.
Oh, I completely agree.
They need to close by 10.
And we wouldn't be allowed to visit them anyway, because they're on the megaships. Or on the...
Can't you dock at some?
No, you can't actually dock on any... You can't currently dock, at least, on any structures. That's another thing I really hope we get in Odyssey, is the ability to dock on structures.
I thought there was some... I thought there was some megaships like Fisher's Rest which you could dock at.
Okay, yeah, there's ships like that, and there's that kind of ships. Then you've got the structures like the Orange Sidewinder Bar.
Mm-hmm.
How the hell anyone's meant to get a drink there, I don't know. Because I don't know how the hell you're meant to land there.
I know. Our bar has got these fantastic adverts for Lavian brandy all over the place, and you just can fly around it feeling thirsty.
Yeah. But I would love these things to actually be dockable with and landable on, and then go and get a drink in the bar.
Yes. Well, just quickly touching on the newsletter, because it will be quick. The newsletter just effectively reiterates what's happened with the Thargoid attack and the Witch Head. It goes over Super Cruise News number 10, the Fight or Flight CQC, which Commander Barndor was flying around quite a lot. And no, I'm not going to let that one go. We got the Store Spotlight, which in this case is the box, the coffin of death, the T7, and the Diamondback Explorer both have these slipstream paint jobs. I mean, I'm sorry, slipstream paint jobs on a T7. I'm sorry.
That
You're
is
It
a
would need to
contradiction
be
in
really
terms,
slippery,
isn't it?
wouldn't it? It would really need to be really slippery, wouldn't it?
that's what I want in my coffin. Go faster, Stripes.
No, because that would imply you're in a hurry to get into the ground.
And of course, they've got a summary of the latest Galnet news, which is up to Thursday, which was the Witch Head, the Marlinist refugees fleeing to the Federation, and of course the problems that President Hudson has, what with his best mate being arrested for treason. So yes, and of course a lot of other podcasts and streamers who are promoting Elite Dangerous content, including ourselves, apparently.
Actually, Colin, just thinking about the best thing to have on your coffin is a little arrow that says "this way up," because you wouldn't really want to be coming back to life facing down, would you? You want to be facing up.
I didn't realise coming back to life in a coffin was an option, to be honest.
That reminds me of the old joke. It's something like, it goes like something, what if Abraham Lincoln was alive today, what would he be doing? Response A is criticizing the incumbent president in his unpresidentness. 2, working as a university lecturer teaching the history of his presidency. 3, desperately scratching at the inside of his coffin.
Yeah.
Or I guess you could also, if you're fairly inventive, you could have a rotating coffin, then you really would be spinning in your grave, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I think the point is that you're not, the coffin isn't rotating you, you're rotating within the coffin.
Yeah, but you're still spinning in your grave.
Yeah.
That actually, I think I should have that installed in mine, because that would just solve a lot of problems in advance.
Wouldn't you be a little bit like a roast chicken at Tesco?
I was going to say rotisserie chicken.
or one of those kebab things.
Yeah, the doner kebab thing.
Are you implying that I'm going to be close to some sort of heat? Is that what you say I'm going? Is that what you're saying? Where you think I'm going? Somewhere that's hot and I'm on a spit roast. Thanks. Oh God, I wish I hadn't said that. Ben, shut up.
Dream on, mate.
Oh
There's
dear.
a spit roast, but there's no swallow roast.
Oh, here we go.
dear.
Again, I'd like to apologise to anybody with a nervous disposition.
Sam, what's the difference between like and love, mate?
Oh,
So
God,
that
please no.
dear listener, is how interesting the newsletter was this week.
Imagine that. People walking through the graveyard there. I'm sure I can hear some thumping. Just constantly thumping coming from the grave. as I'm constantly rolled round. Like a tombola. You don't want to win that prize.
Like a rotisserie chicken, Colin. You can't change the metaphor now.
Dear. Well, I think we'll just take a little bit of a break for the moment, and then we will come back with our main discussion for this evening, if that is okay.
Are you thinking of suing over missold Python protection insurance, had an accident in an airlock or slipped in a space station cargo bay, and thinking of suing for compensation? Well, don't.
I tried to take my ship commander to court for making fertiliser out of my crewmates. Legal fees have left me with nothing, and now I'm hungry. All the time.
At Watt & Brittany, we take small print very seriously. We have a massive team of lawyers just waiting to block your case and ramp up your legal costs.
I wanted a simple, no-win, no-fee arrangement. My case got blown out of the water by Watt and Brittany, and now I have to rent out my arse for hydrogen fuel.
At Watt and Brittany, we have a saying: if you don't want a beating, stay out of our court.
I was savaged by a wild creature whilst fixing a vending machine. Can't I claim compensation?
No, you can't, because we have a massive team of lawyers and you're just someone who works for a living. Watt and Brittany. Don't even think about it.
This is a public service announcement from the Fuel Rats. Please stop what you're doing and pay attention. If we can rescue you, we will, but you can help us help you by following these easy steps. 1. Fly 50 light seconds or so from the system's main star and drop out of Supercruise. 2. Note down the current system and the nearest stellar body. 3. If you're on emergency life support, log out immediately. 4. Go to fuelrats.org and click Get Help. 5. Stay calm, hold your breath, and let our seasoned professionals do what they do best. The Fuel Rats. We have fuel, you don't. Any questions?
And welcome back. Now, it has been a month since the last Dev Diary, so we thought we'd arrange the good old tinfoil hats, put them on our heads, and try and speculate on what would be coming in the next one. I mean, is there something that you'd like to see them cover in the next Dev Diary? So, just quickly going around the crew, see what their initial thoughts are on this, and we'll see where it leads us. So, we'll start with Ben.
The next one I want to see is about the combined assaults. I really want to see that being played out.
Mm-hmm.
The next one I think we'll see is actually going to be about suits.
Suits.
I really hope before we go live, I want to see them doing a Dev Diary on how they did the combined assaults.
So is this mainly because you want to actually see someone on multi-crew get into an SRV?
I've got so many questions about it. I want to see what they did, how they did it.
Mm-hmm.
I want to see, can we, honest to God, do a couple of people on foot, one person in an SRV and one person in a ship? Can we do this? That's what it should be, but I just don't know if we're going to get it.
Yeah.
But I don't think we're going to get that first.
I mean, are they going to keep the wing? Do you think they'll keep the wing limit to 4? So there's only a group of 4 of you at any one time?
Yes, I think they will.
Yeah.
I think they'll keep that to 4. I would hope, although I don't think they will, but God, I hope they do. They basically combine wings and multi-crew together.
Mm-hmm.
So you could be on my ship, Colin, say Shannon, Chris, Mark IV could be in your own ships. Chris can land, Shan can land, and they can run off and assault the base, and you can go off and you can do a combat drop either in my SLF or in my SRV.
Yeah, I can see where you're going with that. Yeah,
this is what I want, but who knows if we'll actually get it.
Yeah, quite understandable. Shan, same question to you.
Yeah, I'm just thinking of a different answer than Ben because I suspect it will be something about the suits, or maybe it will be about the Dyson multi-tool.
Oh, you mean the actual the botany stuff on planets?
Yeah, the scanner and basically about the Dyson multi-tool, so how it will work.
Mm-hmm.
What sort of functions it has, because then that leads on to other trailers and dev diaries about the gameplay mechanics behind the Dyson multi-tool.
Yeah, I mean, we're assuming that this is an all-in-one thing, Or do you think we'll still have one multi-tool, which we'd have to put away and get a gun out?
Now the guns will be separate.
Right. Okay.
I think the scanning device will be the Dyson multi-tool because
Mhm.
we know the guns are separate because in the trailer they show the Dyson multi-tool but then also show the players with a gun.
True. Very true. Mac.
Yeah, none of the above really is my answer. I want to know more about the planetary generation. Part of this is self-interest because I'm pretty sure I will actually be on my journey home on the whatever that Mercury 7 Explorer's exploration mission is going to be. Hold on, I'm on an expedition. Well, the expedition will be over by the time Odyssey drops, but the expedition is to deliver a carrier to the furthest reaches of the galaxy. So it's going to take me a while to get back. If I just have a look at that, I'm not Mercury's wing. That's what I'm going to be on. Mercury's wing. So I'd like one of those Dr. K videos where we find out about how exactly the ins and the outs of the procedural generation, what kind of new planets we're going to get, because they're talking about ones with thin atmospheres. I mean, what's the limit to that? Is it going to, how many is it going to be up to, say, like a half an atmosphere, a quarter of an atmosphere, or what? What kind of new planets are we getting? In that, will there be, because if you notice some of the existing, like Mars likes, I like to call them, the sort of reddish planets with thin atmospheres, some of them appear currently to have seas of some sort of black, I presumably liquid. It might not be, it might be like asphalt or something, but are we going to the planetary? I presume the planetary services, for the time being, at least for Odyssey, are going to be solid only. We're not going to get oceans of any sort, but it'll be interesting to see if we get what kind of range of planetary surfaces we're going to get, that kind of thing. Because I will likely start being able to land on these things on my way back from this expedition on. So that's kind of what's piquing my interest right now. Is and of course there's all the I mean, just like now with the Horizons planets, when people talk about the hyperspace being a loading screen, I think in reality it's more a calculating screen than a loading screen. Because when you first jump into a system, it's actually generating it. It's going through the whole, how they all talked about it. The things like landable planets. It uses, it comes up with a model where the orbits will be, what the mineral content will be, etc., etc. Will they have? And you can see if you actually examine, if you go on an expedition, you start examining these things closely. You'll see there is. You can draw certain conclusions about planets from where their orbits are, and when you get there, you can confirm that you're more likely to get one type of planet over another when you get close to it. And if the planet's a certain size, it'll have these kind of features, that kind of thing. They talked about basically doing a run of what kind of tectonic processes will this planet will have had. And it'd be interesting to see if any of that's changed or what the enhancements they've made since Horizons to add new planets and the new atmosphere types. What kind of variation we can get with atmospheres? Because I presume there'll be, even though they're thin atmospheres, I presume there'll be some tangible differences between the various atmospheres. If you look at the in the system page right now, you'll see there's different compositions. You'll see that some of them it's carbon dioxide. It's mostly carbon dioxide, like Mars is now, or some of them, like some of the very cold planets may actually be, have mostly helium atmospheres, that kind of thing. So it'll be interesting to see if they've done anything more with the procedural generation for planets will actually be able to fly through the atmospheres of. So I'd love to see some of that.
That's an interesting thought, actually, because when you say thin atmosphere, you talk about different types of atmosphere. I mean, we just sort of instinctively think, oh, it's thin air, not much oxygen, sort of a bit like it is at 100,000 feet.
Yeah.
But could it also then be thin ammonia or thin methane?
Yeah, because all we've seen so far has been blue skies. Now, I have a sneaking suspicion that an ammonia planet won't have a blue sky.
And will you be able to, is that where the supposed Thargoid models come in?
Yeah,
Because
that's where I expect the Thargoid models to be on basically ammonia planets. That's.
I wonder how gas composition actually, because the sky is blue because of a process called Rayleigh scattering, which I'd have to something to do with the wavelength of light. I'd have to look it up to remember exactly how the process works. But it'd be interesting to know what other compositions other than our familiar 78% nitrogen, 20-odd% oxygen actually, how it affects those kind of processes.
Well, the only one that I can go on is basically the Viking photos from the Viking probes that landed on Mars, where you could see a bit of the horizon, and you could see that it was basically a light red kind of.
That's false coloring.
Oh, I didn't.
Yeah, that's false coloring on those Mars. Depending on the light, so Mars's twilight is basically blue.
Oh,
a Martian sunset is pretty damn blue, apparently.
Right.
Now there is a red tinge to it, but that red is more to do with the iron oxide on the planets.
Yeah, the dust in the atmosphere.
It's dust in the atmosphere, but it's not the atmosphere's content, as it were. So you go and look at some of the stuff, not the Viking things, but the more recent probes.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, but that was shot on Earth. They're not on Mars, they're on Earth. They're just in the desert in sort of Arizona or something like that.
Hang on, have we just gone to a conspiracy theory there without me realizing it?
No, we haven't. It just looks like it. It does not look like you're on another planet, or at least you could believe you weren't.
Right. I mean, we have seen in the Dev Diary video, we've seen planets that weren't just blue. I think there was one which was yellow. But then again, that could have been sunset or sunrise, which, yeah, I'll have to go back over the thing there.
Apparently, it's not just Rayleigh scattering. I'm just reading the article right now. Rayleigh, there's also something called ramen scattering, which is nothing to do with noodles, which is also involved in the incoming light coming from the sun into the Earth's atmosphere. So, yeah, it'd be nice to have a Dev Diary on that kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I think I'm with Ben on this one. Is that I would really like to see how they are managing the multi-crew aspect of this game. I think we might as well point out that we were only speculating that in multi-crew you'll be able to have a member of your crew in the SRV. They haven't actually confirmed it, but it would be great if they could. I mean, I'm hoping that we can have a kind of, I don't know, point where you can actually rescue stranded commanders out in the center of a planet. So you could actually fly out to where they are, land in a ship. They can board your ship, and you can be, and they can then become a member of your crew. And you can then taxi or ferry them about to other places, so that you can do a bit of an Apex service yourself. I'd like to see that.
That would be fun. I'm sure people would like to come for a ride on my ships and be a taxi. I quite fancy being a space Uber.
You do you? Yes.
Yeah.
Especially when they ask you to get 3 tons of consumer goods, just for the fun of it.
Exactly, Paul Archer. Another vehicle for Shan to do good deeds in and rescue stranded commanders. Absolutely. Yes, Paul. Exactly.
It's an intergalactic rescue.
Yeah. Thunderbird 2. Actually, that was
Intergalactic flush him out the airlock, I suspect.
Yeah, more like Chunderbird, not Thunderbird. Oh dear. So hang on. So which one are you then, Shan? Are you Chunderbird 1 or Chunderbird 2? We haven't got one.
The Thunderbird 4 was the satellite, wasn't there? But what was the rescue?
No,
Thunderbird
Thunderbird 4 wasn't. Thunderbird 5 was the satellite.
Thunderbird 4 was the little submarine, wasn't it?
Yeah. I can't believe we're already talking about Thunderbirds. We can't talk about Thunderbird 3 because that was rescues in space. So that's effectively the fuel rats right there.
Oh, Captain Scarlet. I'll be Captain Scarlet.
Okay, another tangent, because Captain Scarlet never rescued anybody. He just blew people up. But then that's because they'd already been turned into alien agents, I do believe.
But as the program said, remember that Captain Scarlet is indestructible and you are not, so don't try these things at home.
I completely ignore. Well, that's it. Actually, what I would do is I would get my next neighbour's kid to try them. I wouldn't do them.
No, and then you YouTube it for posterity's sake, don't you? Don't try this at home. We do this. We do stupid things so you don't have to.
I do remember getting one of our next door neighbour to take a bath in soot because we were playing Jungle Explorers and we needed a native.
Oh no! Oh dear! This was a long time ago.
70, yeah, 1970.
Yeah, so it's not exactly politically correct, is it?
No.
You got to remember, ladies and gentlemen, you have to remember this is the time when the black and white minstrel show was still on the television and everybody thought it was fine. It's not now.
I still remember Gollywog Jam.
Rubbish.
What was that, Ben?
I still remember. It was Gollywog Marmalade. Sorry, wasn't it?
Robinson's.
Yeah.
Was he?
I think it might have been. Yeah, but it was Gollywog Marmalade is what it was. I remember that.
Now, this is taking quite an uncomfortable turn, isn't it?
We're showing our age again here, aren't we?
Yes. We remember
But
the time when all that was
Prince
acceptable.
Not as much as Prince Philip, though.
I think he still lives there, to be honest. Anyway, I know. Bopper PSN, I'm asking exactly the same question. How the heck did we get to this? Lave Radio. We do stupid stuff, so you don't have to. Yes, right. So, I mean, it's everybody, and everyone seems to be in either two minds that they would like either the combined forces angle or basically the new environments which are on the planets. But everyone seems to be under the impression that we're probably going to get the suits. Is that what you think we're going to get?
I suspect you're right.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, the suits have just been hinted at as something. Yeah, they've even said we've got so much stuff to talk about suits. We're going to have to do a dev diary on them.
Yeah,
that's almost word for word.
At what point, though, do we think they're going to have to start talking about gameplay at some point in time, aren't they?
They're going to have to get a shift on, to be honest. I mean, it's been a month since the last one. We've only got a couple of months until the end of the year.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm still thinking pretty damn early 2021 for release.
So are you still thinking January, Ben, or do you think they'll go and push it back all the way to the 31st of March?
I would say I would not be surprised if we had Odyssey in some form by the end of January.
Oh, right.
What I would like would be a prolonged open beta. A bit like how we had Gamma.
Yeah, I remember that.
I would like them to go off and say, "Hey, kids, come and we are." So beginning of January, they say, "Hey, kids, come and buy Elite Dangerous Odyssey. Come and pre-order Elite Dangerous Odyssey. Release date 31st of March 2021."
See, rather
and then
controversially.
And then hang on, Shan, hang on. And then sometime after they've said that, a week or so after they've said that, to then say, by the way, anyone who's pre-ordered Elite Dangerous Odyssey, the beta for it starts the end of the month. So, and then we have an ongoing beta or open gamma or whatever you want to call it. And you can't bitch about it being shit and everything being broken because it's a gamma.
I'm not sure whether I'd like the idea of an open beta or not. I think it depends on the amount of time they allow for the beta and at what point in the development cycle we would get it. Because if they say, okay, you've got a month to do open beta, and everyone runs around and they don't tend to test stuff, they just tend to run around and do what they would do anyway. So it's no focus to it. It's just running around. And if they have a month open beta and they only give themselves 2 weeks for changes, then I'm not sure the benefit of that beta, other than
this is why I'd make it a
people.
This is why I'd make it a basically like the gamma, where we all know that the gamma was basically the real thing, right?
Well, it was, wasn't it? Because they didn't.
It was. They called it gamma, but it was the real thing, and that's what I want this to be. I want, it's the real thing. We're all playing it, but we give up our right to bitch that things are broken because officially it says gamma, and if we don't want to play the gamma, we can go and play Elite Dangerous Horizons.
But there has to be. What I'm saying is, are we saying we will rely on Frontier's internal playtesters to make sure the game mechanics match the community expectations?
They're not going to give us the community is not going to do proper focus testing. That's a sad truth. No matter if Frontier go off and open it up to everyone in the community and say, hey, guys, could y'all please go and test walking into walls and see if you can find a way to glitch up onto the roof. The community's not going to do that. They're going to go, wee, spaceships, and they can run around and shoot Thargoids. Yay!
And that's right. And that's why I'm questioning the value of such an open beta with such a widely expected product. I mean, I would hope they'd have a degree of focus group testing. When before you market something, you have a very small focus group, don't you? You get them into a room and you get them to sign stuff and say, have a look at this and tell us what you think.
Yeah, I would love Frontier to go and do something like that. I don't know if they will.
Well, I must admit, I was a bit annoyed about the last beta. The last gamma, because just before the game had gone live, I think I took 2 weeks off from the game, thinking there was going to be a complete and utter reset. Because but then Michael Brooks turned around and went,
"It was going to be."
Yeah, he just sort of went, actually, no, we're not going to reset everyone back to zero again. We're just going to let you run with it. And at that point there, I felt I'd lost 2 weeks. I was 2 weeks behind everybody else. Which
I'd already made millions doing rare good runs.
Exactly.
That does not surprise me.
Yeah. So, yeah. So, I mean, do you think there's going to sort of... I mean, that's what you want, Ben. Do you think that it's feasible?
I do think we'll either get. I think we're going to get some. We're going to get our hands on Horizons, on Odyssey, sorry, in some form before February.
I think you're right, Ben, but the big risk is they don't leave themselves any time to fix issues, either structurally or gameplay or balance.
I mean, at the risk of sounding like I'm criticizing, because we obviously, you and I know nothing about Frontier's internal things, but I do know from my own, I know for a fact, the product that I work on, we finished coding. It's getting our next release is going to be sometime mid-November. We finished coding on it sometime in September. We've then been testing it pretty much solidly since then. We've rolled in all our bug fixes and things like that, and it's been localized, and we could release it today, and it's going to be the same thing that gets rolled out to the cloud at the end of November. And we've been testing it, including with our customers, on development cloud instances for about the past 2 months.
Yeah,
we've got a couple of customers who, as part of their whole negotiating thing, it's like, we'll be a test customer, and they get a few £1,000 knocked off the license, basically.
I mean, maybe it might be open that only LEP owners will be enough for them to test. And
honestly, I think you want to get a group of about 20 odd people, lock them in with NDAs, and say, right, for the next 5 days, you need to try walking in and glitching up roofs.
Well, isn't that what their QA department's supposed to do?
Yeah, that's the kind of thing that you would be able to. I mean, perhaps that's just a bad example.
You've got the million monkey problem.
Well, I'm talking about actual kind of. You know how when we did the crime and punishment changes,
yeah,
Frontier thought they'd got it nailed, and we had Sandra on the show, and he thought he'd got it nailed. But as soon as people started playing it, they were picking holes in and saying, actually, it needs to work like this to be right. And by that time, there was no time to fix it.
Go back, yeah.
And that's what I'm talking about. You almost need a community involvement that's external to a Frontier company who's experienced enough in the game and able to give constructive criticism, but aren't actually any under obligation to be yes people.
Yeah, I mean,
but one thing you
that.
have to watch out for with the community, though, is the community has 1,000,001 opinions. For every idea one part of the community supports, another part of the community is vehemently against. For instance, a simple example, the ship transfer times. There was no way of making everybody happy on that. If it'd been instant, people would still be complaining now that, oh, this is unrealistic. It means gankers can move their ship. Oh, yeah. And now because the way the vote went, when they put it out to vote, the way it went, it ends up with the bitterness of the Brexit vote almost. People are saying, oh, you voted for this. So you end up, the community pulls in about 15 different ways at once, and it always will do. So it's great to involve the community, but you got to be, somebody has to be there. Somebody has to be an actual game designer and say, yeah, that's a nice idea, but you're asking for the moon on a stick, because there's all the stuff that we actually want, and there's the stuff which is actually practical to develop and support at the end of the day. And the community is very good at running away, taking an idea and running with it and turning it into the moon on a stick, and then being disappointed when they don't get the moon on a stick.
Yeah,
I mean, that's what the focused feedback forums were supposed to do, wasn't they? We'll take the people's ideas in a rational way.
Well, the DDF, yes, it was supposed to.
Not the DDF. The Sandro had the focused feedback forum where he'd ask a question. But I just don't think that process was managed in the optimal way. So people were giving really good reasoned feedback mostly.
Yeah.
But the process of turning that feedback in, as Matt just said, into something that's deliverable, that was where the process fell over.
Yeah. I mean, even today, the argument about open only power play or some form of open only functionality in power play is still raging on the forums. I think the latest one of these threads is still running at about 700, 800 posts with a lot of people. Well, this is the thing. There does seem to be an awful lot of people there putting in the rows in who don't or are not interested in power play, but they are very adamant that it's something that should be left alone when most of the people that seem to play power play want some form of open only play. And I mean, that was originally kicked off with Sandro's article about proposed changes coming from that process that you said, Shan. And yeah, it's never ending.
I mean, you are right. You can't keep everyone happy all the time.
No.
You like to think a company reads the feedback they get from their customers and then take that feedback in and then assess it and then make a call whether people have got a point or whether they haven't.
Mm-hmm.
And it's that sort of process I would like to see with Odyssey, but give them enough time to make the changes that the community suggests.
Yeah. I mean, it would have to be a long testing period so that they could bed it in and then be flexible enough afterwards to make those changes.
Well, that's right, and I don't think they're giving themselves that time to do that if it's going to be the next 3 months.
Yeah.
And that, I must admit, that is a concern of it, because previously we've seen the same thing happen with the game again and again and again. And it seems as though, even though their internal testing may be more robust this time, there seems to be a gap in the process somewhere, and I'm just concerned they are not addressing that gap. I mean, it's not my game, not my development, so it's kind of not up to me to enforce the issue. But just as an observer and someone who's still passionate about the game and the community, it's something I think a gap I would like to see addressed at some point in time.
Well, Commander Terek Cove has made a very good point. He says with the fleet carrier beta, the instructions from the CMs was to the bulk of the players was that we should carry on and do our thing and see if anything broke. I mean, that makes sense that the FDev QA people have done all the structured tests and the community are doing the random stuff that they would never ever think of trying.
But they need time, what I'm saying, to correct those. And with fleet carriers, I'm not sure they gave themselves enough time to sort that out. But anyway, we're not really talking about what the next dev diary should be about, are we? We're talking about the development process.
No, we're back to talking about the development process that we've got before. Yes.
And I think one thing, took it very quickly on this, one thing I think they need, which I suspect they do not have, is automated testing. I used to work on a very large project for a very large government customer, and we had a GUI system as well. It wasn't just back end server stuff. We had an entire lab with dozens of machines just running automatic test scripts, which literally moved the mouse and clicked on things and read scraped the screen. And this would be running all the time. It didn't matter whether we're gearing up for a new release or whether between releasing. It was constantly doing regression tests. And it was such a valuable process because everybody thinks, oh, I want to work for a games company. I'd love to be a games tester. But the reality is, it's extremely dull. You're told by your boss to, if you're a tester, to do the same one thing over and over and over and over again and try and break it, which is very dull and much more. It's much more effective if some of that at least you can automate, especially your regression test suite. So when you have because one thing we had is like the regressions we had with engineers at one point, which I think is something which would be hugely suitable for automated testing, because it wasn't, if I recall right, it wasn't user interface faults. It was actually back-end faults, which are enormously easier to automate the test, because you don't need to try and have something automatically fly a spaceship. And we know it is automatable because people have written bots for Elite Dangerous. Perhaps Frontier should get rid of get hold of one of the bot writers, say, hey, we'll pay you money for your Elite Dangerous bot to turn it into an automated test suite.
Right. Well, we're going to have to interrupt all this testing stuff, because we have breaking news. I'm going to hand over to Ben.
So we do indeed have some breaking news. And the 6th instance of the image has dropped.
Mm-hmm.
I have not seen a translation of it, and I'm working that out just now. I can tell you the binary version of it. So if you want that in binary, I can give you that.
Well, actually, our chat room has been ahead of us. According to Van Otter, it says Stones, full stop. He keeps watching the Stones, full stop. And that's what he claims they've got so far. There have also been hints that there is still more to come. So we'll just have to keep on watching that Instagram.
Hey, I've worked out Mick Jagger is still alive in the 33rd century.
Oh, I got a thing for that. It's David Braben. He keeps watching the Stones. That's.
I always had him down as more of a Beatles man for some reason.
No, David Braben watches the Stones, and that's what it means.
Oh, okay. Why, have they got some kind of Japanese Zen garden in the back of Frontier Towers? Or are you on about the? Or are you on about the Mick Jagger?
Rolling Stones. There was only one.
But they haven't said Rolling. Rolling's not in there.
But the Rolling Stones.
Yeah, but you call them the Stones.
You just call them the Stones, yeah, don't you? And evidently, it turns out, just like the Queen, Mick Jagger turns out to be immortal, and is still around in 3306.
This does not surprise me. He's already half plastic.
Is the only way to kill Mick Jagger to cut his head off? Is it? Did he win the gathering? Is that how he's managed to do it?
I want to know who Mick Jagger is, but anyway.
Oh, you mean the gathering of ancient rock stars? So you've got Roger Waters and people like that,
all hacking away at themselves with swords, all around a little miniature model of Stonehenge. There you go. Let's put all the silly stuff together at once. Ah, dear. Anyway, I think we're going to be moving on from there to the community corner now. The first thing that we should mention is that there is a new expedition happening, Space Adaptation, the Search for Life expedition. And there's a lot of life in the universe, from tiny microorganisms to complex fusion and a symbiosis of viable organisms. It's a wonder how all this exists in the universe around us. To experience the phenomenon firsthand, the expedition Space Adaptation, the Search for Life, will visit all manner of life forms out there in the dangerous void relatively close to the bubble. Join a group of like-minded explorers and admire 11 different alien life forms, including objects created by them, and append these exciting new discoveries to your codex. The expedition route has been optimized to enable more than 20 codex entries to be collected by visiting only 7 different systems within 15,000 light-years of Sol. I must admit, I've got to say this, when I was watching Drew Wagar's stream the other night, he refers to 1,000 light years as a Kylie.
Yeah.
Is that...
Yeah, that's the thing.
That is a thing.
Usage. Yes, it is.
Yeah, a million light years. Million light years
would be
is
a Miley.
Yes.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. Does anyone else actually just find it more flabbergasting that Colin was talking about new discoveries? Nudist coveries?
Oh my God, Ben! Just
Is that to go along with the ship after the Code Mark III?
yeah, yeah. That's yeah. Anyway, I will continue. There are 7 different systems within 15 Kylies from Sol. For the enthusiasm, for the enthusiast, there's a modified route which includes 20 further systems containing an extra 20 variations of these life forms. As a souvenir of your expedition, we aim to take group photographs at each phenomena and collate them into a visual library of the trip. This expedition presents a unique opportunity for you and your fellow explorers to study, with relative ease and speed, a significant section of life in our own universe. If you wish to join us, please follow these steps. In other words, sign up to the expedition on EDSM. So if you go to EDSM, look up Space Adaptation, you will find where they're headed to. Either anybody thinking of signing up for that one?
Not me, because I'm already booked for an expedition. So
yeah,
I'm pretty much booked. I like it because it's all pretty local, so you can dot in and out and get it. But I'm kind of in the middle of everything else at the moment.
Yeah, one thing they have said is that they haven't said when it starts. So I guess that those videos.
I believe it started already. I believe.
Oh, is it?
To the guy, or it's I think it's already started.
All right, so you'll have to look up EDSM to find out where they're at the moment and catch up. Right.
It's only started. I think it might start Saturday or Sunday. So it's only just started.
All right, so people should be able to catch up with them.
Yeah.
It's not as if you have to fly out to the Fordoman Rift.
Oh no!
What?
Strike is saying it starts on Saturday.
Oh, is it starting this Saturday?
Okay, I was under, or maybe he meant it started on Saturday, but I was under the impression that by this time it had already started, technically. But Shrike is saying Saturday, so maybe they pushed it back a week to let people know about it.
As far as the Rolling Stones is concerned, people are saying that's Beetlejude is saying Keith would be a head in a jar, a la The Simpsons. Well, actually, it's Futurama.
Futurama, that is.
Yeah, yeah. Maybe that's how Mick Jagger is surviving in the future, because his head's in a jar.
So, do you think David Braben's head would be in a jar?
Of course.
So, who would he have next to him?
There's only one person really who could be next to him, isn't there?
What? Not Ian Bell.
Yes.
Considering how those two just don't get on, I think that'd be some form of hell, wouldn't it?
It kind of would be.
Yeah, that's sort of. Anyway, moving on from that, we have to congratulate Commander Thamara, who has managed to circumvent the galaxy in his fleet carrier, the FC Nanchi. And that's what I'm guessing. We're going to put a link to his exploits, which can be found on Reddit. We'll put a link into that in the show notes. And talking of Reddit, Chief Head Honcho over there, Stuart GT, is running a competition for new ship skins to celebrate the rolling in of Horizons into the main game. So again, we will put a link in the show notes for link into that. Right, guys, does anybody have a question that you'd like the community to answer?
No, we can always see if the community has any feelings as to what we're going to actually get in the dev diary, or indeed when we're going to get Odyssey or some kind of beta for it.
Yeah.
Yes. Here's a question then, maybe.
Okay then.
If there was to be a beta for Odyssey,
Mhm.
what sort of beta would you want it to be?
Right. Okay.
Including a private beta that you don't get invited to.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll put that in the show notes, and we'll send it out via our social media. If there is going to be a beta, what kind of beta would you prefer? Yeah. Right. I'm going to move on to any other business. Has anybody got any other business they'd like to just quickly bring up?
I think we've rolled up any other business into the entire show.
It has felt
Pretty much.
that way. Yes. I mean, well, my little bit is, according to the Steam charts, Star Wars Squadrons has now dropped under the level that Elite Dangerous has. So I think interest in that game is waning, unfortunately. It does seem that now people are getting used to the multiplayer modes. It seems that turreting, which means you can switch off a ship's engines and just rotate in place, has begun to ruin the multiplayer game, and people are beginning to leave the game in droves because of it.
Am I right in thinking the developers of Star Wars have said we're not actually updating the game other than bug fixes?
Yeah, that's it. That's what they've said.
Not
Sounds like a bug
technically.
to me.
Well, hang on. They
There-
are doing something, which I'm sure Ben would like to talk about.
So yeah, they are indeed doing something, and corresponding with the upcoming release of Mandalorian, we now can get Baby Yoda in our cockpits. Or was it BB-31 or something like that? Or the assassin droid. And
IG-88 he is.
IG, yeah. There's a couple of holograms and things like that as well.
Yeah, but as far as new gameplay modes or setting up custom matches, which ironically is the kind of thing we've been asking for CQC since it came out, they say that no, they're not going to do anything like that. There's not going to be any expansion to the single player campaign, and there's not going to be any more scenarios. So basically, you've got a choice of 5v5 deathmatch or the fleet battle mode, and that's your lot. I mean, yeah.
That was why it was a cheap game comparatively, wasn't it?
Yes, yeah. And they've said that they're not going to be working on any DLC. They just said, nope, that's your lot. We're not even going to give you microtransactions. Everything that's in the game, you have to earn through gameplay, which, but anything you can earn basically is all balanced out, which is very similar to CQC, because even if you've got a top level ship in CQC, you still get blown away quite often by other people. Even new starters can shoot you down quite easily in CQC, with the exception if your name is Stephen Benedetti.
Someone's fun themselves back to a Sidewinder next week, can't they?
I'm going to find my account. Oh, what's this? Sidewinder? Ah, dear. Anyway, moving on from Star Wars Squadrons. Cyberpunk 2077 has been delayed by 21 days to the 10th of December. This is the first I've actually heard about this. Apparently, the too long didn't read is testing on all platforms is hard. I thought it had already gone gold.
Day one patch.
Are they testing for a day one patch?
Well, because I don't think it's such a thing as going gold, is it, with digital releases?
Yeah, I know, but they still use the phrase going gold, don't they? That's supposed to be it. That's the cutoff point for the first version.
How are you supposed to tell?
Colin, would you like the non-TLDR version?
How long is the long nut?
It's basically a paragraph and a bit.
Okay then, Ben.
The biggest challenge for us right now is shipping the game on current gen, next gen, and PC at the same time. This requires us to prepare and test 9 versions of Cyberpunk 2077. Xbox One/X, compatibility on the Xbox Series S X, PlayStation 4/PlayStation 4 Pro, compatibility with PlayStation 5, PC, and Stadia. All while
it's
working
coming
from
out on
home.
Stadia as well.
It is. All whilst working from home. Since Cyberpunk 2077 evolved towards almost being a next-gen title somewhere along the way, we need to make sure that everything works well and every version runs smoothly. We're aware it might seem unrealistic when someone says that 21 days can make any difference in such a massive and complex game, but they really do. Some of you might also be wondering what these mean in light of us saying we achieved Gold Masters some time ago. Passing certification or going gold means the game is ready, can be completed, and has all content on it, but it doesn't mean we stop working on it and raising the quality bar. On the contrary, this is the time when many improvements are being made, which will then be distributed via a Day Zero patch. This is the time period that we undercalculated.
Right.
And then the rest of it's blur.
Well, we have just been informed by Stuart GT, who has joined us in the chat, is that the competition that I discussed actually ended many hours ago. So apologies for that. But
Lave Radio, up to date as usual.
Up to date as usual. And apparently Bopper PSN is enjoying the way that I'm making an effort at least trying to pronounce things. Yes, it's all part of the natural charm.
Yeah. A lot of people are saying that Stadia is dead, but it's not quite dead yet.
No, it's at the moment it's on the cart saying,
dead yet!
I'm not dead yet. No, I'm getting better.
Actually, it's been a PS5. I was watching a couple of unboxing videos today. I didn't realise just how physically big the console is.
Oh, right.
Have
Enormous.
you seen a teardown video of it, though, Shan?
I haven't, no, but...
It is 90% fans and cooling.
Oh, my goodness.
The actual card is tiny. The actual thing that I would call this is the PlayStation 5 was about the size of a Japanese guy's hand. Everything else
is it air cooled, or do they have like the evaporation?
It looks like it's air cooling. There's basically it's surrounded by fans, and then obviously you've got the physical media in there as well.
So surely that's going to get pretty noisy, isn't it?
Probably.
When it's under a TV for a while and the dust collects, it's going to get really noisy, isn't it?
Yep.
Yeah.
Especially when the bearings start giving out and the fans. But I recently, one of my retro finds recently was some old Sun servers they were chucking out at work, which
I
had
love
actually
Solaris machines.
they had an uptime of almost 20 years. They're running this piece of equipment. One of them was. The other one, the power supply kept failing with, and eventually, anyway, this piece of equipment's gone now, and I got the old Sun servers. But I took them apart, and the quantity, it was unbelievable, the amount of dust that had accumulated over almost 20 years in there. I mean, it was just... I stripped the machines out. I spent probably a whole day getting dust out of these Enterprise 250s.
And then you spent about a week out of it, getting it out of your room.
Yeah.
I think the only thing that's nicer than Sun servers is next step machines, especially their cubes.
Yeah, the like the stuff that Tim Berners-Lee developed the World Wide Web on. Yeah, I've only seen one of those in the flesh, so to speak. And yeah, the industrial design. It was the typical Jobsian type industrial design.
Glorious.
So.
Guys, I know you were mentioning stuff about the PlayStation 5,
yes.
But I've just been shocked. I thought this was a joke, but it's true. Atari have just launched a console, the VCS, which is a new version of the classic VCS.
With the fake wood as well.
With you can have it in fake wood if you want, according to this.
I actually
And-
met Nolan Bushnell once, who was the guy who started Atari, and he's still a big gamer. Actually, his phone, he had an iPhone, and it was absolutely full of games. He was still really enthusiastic about video games. It was quite nice to meet this, because he's quite, he's older than us, so he's not exactly young, but he's still very much into it and very much follows what's going on in the gaming industry today. And it was very entertaining to meet and talk to the guy.
So yeah, apparently this console's got an AMD Ryzen CPU. It's got a Radeon in it, 8 gig of RAM, which is expandable, and it can pump out games in 4K as well. So yeah, that's come out of nowhere.
Well, Bitstorm made a good point actually, and it's something I had forgotten about. Is the fan is big, so therefore it can shift an awful lot of air at low rotation speed. So in theory, it should be quiet.
I love the Wintermute. A Norwegian Blue has more life than Stadia.
I don't think we should be mean.
Ah, dear. Yeah, it
So
does.
who's getting a PlayStation 5 then, or an Xbox X? Has anyone got one on order?
Can't afford it.
No.
I've already got a better machine.
I have never owned a console. I've always owned computers for gaming, right from the very start.
PC Master Race then?
Yeah.
PC Master Race.
Well, I spent out on my 3080, so I'm not getting anything.
No, I know that somebody in our household has been dropping hints that he would like an upgrade to the Xbox that he's got, but at the moment,
So you're going to get him a PlayStation, maybe?
Buy him a netbook or Chromebook.
Oh, that's just cruel. That's just cruel. And I'm taking
You
notes.
like it.
But it's funny.
Well,
I'm fairly proud. My son is starting to get into at least the hardware building side of PC gaming. He hasn't actually. He's not really done any of the actual gaming side of it, but he's certainly into. I want to try and build my own PC and things like that.
Yeah.
That's always the fun thing. You build your own PC, you spent all this money, you've plugged it all together, you've hoped to God you've actually wired everything up correctly. You plug it all in, you turn it on, and nothing happens. And you get this horrible sinking feeling.
No beep.
And then you realize you plugged the IEC kettle lead in, but you forgot to plug it into the mains.
I think we've all been there. Yes, all been there. Right, in the final bit of community, any other business kind of thing, friend of the show, the Twitch streamer Hello It's Colo, has been nominated for a Golden Joystick Award. In other words, Best Streamer. So if you wish to support an Elite Dangerous streamer, but she does do other things as well, we'll give you a link in the show notes. Remember, #VoteGinger. Yes, she's absolutely completely bowled over that someone has nominated, that she's got as far as this thing. She wasn't expecting it at all. And then someone said, "Do you know you're nominated?" And she had one of her classic freakouts over it, which was very amusing to watch. So, yes.
She probably asked the same question 3 times. Did I? Really? Have I?
It's all part of the natural charm, isn't it? Remember, #VoteGinger. So, shout outs to our associates. Our sister channel station, Hutton Orbital Radio, it broadcasts on a Thursday at 8:30 GMT. You can tune in at tv.forthemug.com, or if you just want the audio, at radioforthemug.com. For the discerning commander who likes a bit of CQC action, check out the CQC Discord at discord.me/Elite Dangerous CQC, all one word. Also following this, I do believe we have a Galnet news digest as provided by the most excellent Commander Witherspoon.
Is that opposed to the mediocre Commander Witherspoon?
Well, I'm not going to say anything like that. Otherwise, I'll find myself as some kind of guest expose on it, and I don't want.
Yes,
I don't want Commander Witherspoon.
he discovered about my Imperial sex dungeon on my fleet carrier, which was anyway.
Well, I thought that became a standard on Imperial carriers.
I thought that was standard, yeah.
I thought that was standard issue. Anyway, we'd just like to thank everybody who's
So have
chipped
you
in.
called your fleet carrier the Max Mosley then?
No, it's called the Alan Matheson Turing.
Okay,
The computer scientist.
Yes, I was trying to wonder what the link to the sex dungeon was, but anyway.
Oh no, it was something on Galnet, on Witherspoon's Galnet news a couple of months ago. It was to do with there was some East India Company thing we're doing, and it was about the the better looking imperial slaves or something. I claim ignorance. But,
Okay.
Moving swiftly on, I do have one little bit of community news.
Okay.
Week Wednesday, next Sagittarius Eye podcast is out, where we cover the Carcosa War, which is, I believe, still going on. There's still rumblings on in Colonia about that. We cover the Banana Nebula Expedition, the 8-wheel drive championship, and part 2 of Spokes of the Wheel, which is about the shenanigans of the Dark Wheel.
Oh, it's funny. We haven't had a Dark Wheel update this week, so
yes, we have. Look in the show. Look in the Discord chat.
Oh, the Discord chat. Well, that's probably because I've been looking in the show notes. Dear. Well, anyway, we'll come back to that at a later point because time is.
You're going to make me look for it then. Right, the Dark Wheel is an expansion with 3 more systems prepped to expand at Pogo Enix Defier. Apparently.
Oh.
I'm assuming that's Phoenix Defier, just with a typo in it. So yeah, Dark Wheel's in expansion, 3 more systems. Kai, if you can tell us how you're looking at heading into Lave again. Is that looking good, or is that looking like it's going to be skipping? I don't know.
I preferred the
30 seconds.
I preferred the Pogo Defier bit. I think that's a great name for Colin.
I love the idea of Pogo Defier. I do, yeah. And Pogo's the monkey from Umbrella Academy as well, isn't he?
Oh, thanks. This just gets better. I mean, it could be worse. I mean, the guy's Simuf is always there going, "Oh, look, Penis Defier has turned up in the chat," which I thought was always welcoming.
What Pogo Penis Defier?
I think we've lost Kai, so I'm assuming we don't care about Lave. Well, they don't care about Lave. They may make it in. Who knows? I believe that they're still trying to get in, but they had problems last time.
Okay, well, on that bombshell, I think we'll say that's it for another episode of Lave Radio. If you'd like to get in touch with the show, you can email info@laveradio.com. Hit us up at facebook.com/laveradio. Tweet us at Lave Radio. And you can join our Discord server by going to discord.io/laveradio. We also have a TeamSpeak server where commanders come to chat, which you can find at teamspeak.laveradio.com. It is shared with the Hutton Truckers, so bring your own air freshener. Do get in touch if you have any questions or if there's anything you'd like us to discuss in a future episode. Lave Radio is recorded live on a Tuesday in the evening at 8:30 GMT and streamed out at laveradio.com/live and also on YouTube and also on Facebook. So thanks to Mac, thanks to Shan, and thanks to Ben, and special thanks to today's tech specialist, Chris Markful. So until next time, Commanders, fly safe. But if you can't do that, fly dangerous.
Is your life like this?
Sounds like someone having an orange inserted. Need a safe word.
Space can be loaded.
I'm gonna see the galaxy.
Ah, damn it. No worries, guys. Hold the fort for 2 seconds. I'll be right back.
Galnet News Digest, 27th of October 3306. We read the news so you don't have to. In this week's news, Neo-Marlinists attack while Marlinists flee. Thargoids gone for good. Expanding sideways. Watching the Stones. Neo-Marlinists attack while Marlinists flee. Following the start of the clampdown on Marlinists in the Empire, hundreds of thousands of refugees are reported to have fled to federal space. None at all have arrived in the Alliance so far, but Prime Minister Edmund Mahon remains hopeful that some may head his way soon. Far from being happy that all these Republican troublemakers have left the Empire, the Imperial Internal Security Service has asked the Federation to send them all back. Something that President Zachary Hudson would have been happy to comply with had his proposal not been rejected by Congress. The Federation has now committed to housing and feeding all the refugees, but it's looking like delays in mobilising supplies may result in famine, disease or insurrection in at least some of the systems that are attempting to host the refugees. LTT 1935 and HIP 36081 seem to be most at risk of suffering infrastructure failure. President Hudson suffered the defeat, at least partly because of a falling approval rating, after he failed to condemn close friend Admiral Vincent over the sabotage of Starship One. Were an election due this year, there is little doubt that Hudson would lose, and the Liberal Party, led by Jasmina Halsey, would be restored to power. Meanwhile, the neo-Marlinist terror group, the NMLA, has committed another atrocity, attempting to kill Hadrian Jansen, the grandson of Emperor Hengist. Jansen, who now calls himself Hadrian Duval and leads a political organisation known as Nova Imperium, is an enemy of the current emperor, having attempted to depose her towards the end of 3304. Hadrian is believed to be in a critical but stable condition. It's unclear at this stage whether Senator Denton Petraeus, who is waging the war against the Marlinists in general and Neo-Marlinists in particular, will welcome this assassination attempt. A number of Imperial systems remain in lockdown while the IISS investigates. Thargoids gone for good. The highly effective Alliance repulsion of Thargoids from the Witchhead Nebula may mean that we've seen the last of the aliens. The Alliance Expeditionary Pact is confident that all the systems in the Witchhead sector have been secured, and the technology broker at Bray Landing in Yuanjia has continued selling technology at a discount, possibly because he feels that anti-Thargoid weapons won't be much good now that the Thargoids will never be seen again. The battle was a last hurrah for the Anti-Xeno Initiative, who can now safely shut down operations and return to base. Expanding sideways. The Horizons permit has finally been granted to all commanders making planetary landings on airless planets, driving in SRVs, visiting Guardian sites, and the whole multi-crew and hollow-me thing, available to everyone. To celebrate the granting of the Universal Permit, the Pilots Federation asked the Brewer Corporation to turn off the code that allows fleet carriers to jump for a couple of hours today, to encourage commanders to get out and visit some planets. For now, the option to launch without the ability to land on planets remains, but with a massive maintenance update due on Thursday, some of these loose ends may well be tidied up. So, if you want to be denied permission to land on airless planets, take your chance while you still have the option. Watching the stones. Has gone crazy about a teaser message that's been leaking out little by little, taking the form of a grid of binary characters. It remains incomplete, but it seems to be talking about someone who keeps watching the stones. And it may be something to do with a picture of a planet in LAWD 26, where there's an Acellus starport called Stone's Legacy. In unrelated news, the Pilots Federation has released a selection of limited-time bobbleheads and cockpit light strings to appeal to commanders who are Satanists. And that's this week's Galnet News. Galnet News, we read the news so you don't have to.